Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Season 2 of The Marketing Detective. In February of this year, Texas was hit with what they're calling now the storm of the century. It was about 15 minutes from a complete shutdown of the entire power grid. And if that sounds like a science fiction film, those that lived through it, like myself and my guest today, I can tell you we were not laughing about it at all. It was very serious. Over $200 billion in damages, more than both of the hurricanes combined. So today, our topic is talking about the storm of the century. And if you are fighting your insurance claims, how, what to do, who to turn to, and answering those and many other questions for you. So our theme today is Storm of the Century. My guest today needs no introduction if you've seen him on LinkedIn. He does a great job of promoting the great work that they're doing in San Antonio. His name is Will Allan, and he is with the Will Allan Law Firm. Sorry, couldn't get that out there. Will, thank you so much for joining us today. I was admiring your beard, as I said, that you look like Charlton Heston from the Ten Commandments. Let my people go.
Thanks for having me, Mitch.
It's great to have you. Thanks. Thank you for making the time to be on the show today. Before we kind of dive into our topic, I want our audience to get to know you a little bit. Can you share a little bit about your history and what inspired you to study law?
Sure. Didn't have a lot that inspired me to study law, but I can say once I was in law school, I competed in a mock trial competition. I fell in love with the thought of being a trial lawyer and what it was about because I really didn't know before law school. And I went into a field of law that I thought would give me the most trial experience, which at the time was working for the insurance industry. And so I started doing what's called insurance defense work for the first 12 years of my career.
And did you enjoy that part of it? Did it bring you the joy that you're getting now from doing what you're doing on this side of the law?
You know, God works in mysterious ways, I think, and I was able to really get a lot of experience working for the insurance industry on a number of different levels. I was able to try a lot of cases to jury. And I was able to see what happens on the claim side, mostly of the insurance companies and what they do and how that works. And yes, I would say it was fulfilling, but after doing it for 12 years, I wanted to change. I wanted to help people and companies. And I left a big firm and went out on my own to represent plaintiffs, people, business owners.
And I have to ask,
their insurance company.
Yeah. So I have to ask, I mean, that is a scary thing to step away from the stability of working for someone else. What fears did you have about taking that bold step to opening your own firm?
It was, there were a lot of fears. Whether I was going to be able to make it work was the biggest fear. Was I going to be able to help people to resolve their cases where, of course, that's how I earn a living, and whether I was going to have people that would hire me. But it worked out, taking that step of faith, it worked out very well.
So you spent 12 years working for another law firm, and then you stepped out. How many years ago was that now?
I think it was the beginning of 2012, so about 9 years ago.
Okay, wow, time flies for sure. And I'm sure you want to spend more time with your boys and your wife. And I know from back in the day, you weren't able to really do a whole lot of that because you were being worked pretty hard on these cases.
For sure. Yes, it was good to go out on my own on a number of different levels.
Yeah. So as we start talking about the storm of the century, I want to show a video clip, just of a couple of clips that we pulled from the news of that storm.
Yeah, Contessa, good evening from a frigid Dallas. And the concern right now are these rolling outages, these periodic blackouts that have been going into effect since early this morning. That leaves up to 2 million Texans without guaranteed warmth for what looks to be an incredibly frigid night.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on this Wednesday night. We are just halfway through this week, and tonight another major storm now bearing down from the south right up into the northeast tomorrow. Snow, ice, freezing rain. Dangerous conditions, and this storm has already slammed Texas yet again. Another night there with millions without power, without heat, without
This is
water.
Texas, but not as we know it. It should be a pleasant 10 or 15 degrees centigrade here. Instead, it's now dropping to -10 in the day, -20 at night. A state known for its sunshine and desert now battling ice storms and plummeting temperatures.
Well, I have to tell you, just looking at those images again takes me back to those fateful days in February. And Will, I know you know my husband, and he is always over-prepared. And so he comes home on Saturday, the storm hit on Sunday, and he had bought a 4,000-watt generator, which was much more expensive than he told me it was going to be. And I said, "Are you crazy? Why did you get a generator?" And thank God he did, because we were able to have power through those rolling blackouts. And by the way, there's nothing rolling about them. There were blackouts for 4 to 5 hours at a time. We were keeping track on my phone of how often they were going out. So with that, I have to ask, the big $1 million question is, and I know you're not going to answer this question, but why was it on its own power grid? I mean, that just sounds ridiculous to me, that we would feel that we had to be that independent. What, do you have any thoughts on that statement?
No, I really don't. What is amazing is just how many people were affected by the storm, by the power outages, and what foresight that Adam had to buy that generator. Very fortunate. So there were a lot of people who weren't so fortunate. They didn't buy generators like that. As a result, they had a lot of problems. People passed away. They froze to death. Yes. People who needed to go have medical treatment, dialysis, for example, couldn't. They didn't. There were a lot of deaths as a result. But more so than that, people who lost their power didn't have any heat. They didn't have any firewood, or maybe they didn't have a fireplace. Their pipes froze. The pipes burst and flooded their home, and continued to flood their home because the roads look like what you're showing on the screen there. Yeah. Nobody could come help. Yeah. It was a disaster, to say the least.
Understatement for sure. And I know that turns out that the EROT council, it turns out none of them even lived in Texas, which was baffling to me that would be the case. And here's the other thing that in my research that I discovered is they actually knew that they needed to make capital improvements to the grid, and they just decided not to do it. And as a result of that, look what happened. We had the loss of life, people trying to keep their homes warm because of the carbon monoxide poisoning from having some of those outdoor heaters that were running that should not have been running inside. So, if someone is facing a huge claim, and my pastor, by the way, I need to get you connected with her because she's fighting her insurance company. Their whole kitchen floor had to be ripped up because the pipes burst underneath the ground. And she goes, "I don't know what to do." I go, "I think I have somebody you could probably talk to." But when should they call you? At what point in that process, after they've submitted the claim and they start getting this harassment from the insurance company or lack of attention, when should they pick up the phone and call you?
Well, maybe we can go back a little further about making a claim. I think it's very important, if there was any kind of damage to your home as a result of what we experienced in February, that you make a claim. And the insurance company at that point, because you're paying hard-earned money for premiums, they have a duty to come out and investigate your claim. And maybe they'll pay your claim. Maybe they won't. Once they make a claim determination, then at that point you can review what they have offered to pay and get a contractor if it's enough, and they can fix what needs to be fixed. Oftentimes, and of course, what I see is that people come to me and either they've been denied or they have been underpaid. They haven't been paid enough. I don't know your pastor's situation, but maybe you can tell me a little more about that and I can speak into that story. But the bottom line is, if an insurance company denies you, doesn't pay you appropriately, that's a good time to seek help. And the reason to seek help that I see, and I've seen for years and years now, is that an insurance policy is a very cryptic, difficult document to read, much less understand. And I think most people who aren't trained in some form or fashion to read and interpret an insurance policy, they don't know what to do. And oftentimes lawyers don't know what to do. If you look in cases of court opinions, you will see just how many times there are a dispute as to what terms mean in a policy, what coverages apply, whether there is an exclusion that applies, what the meaning of that exclusion is. So really, if there's ever a question as you go through the claims process, of course you're talking to a lawyer, I would suggest that you call a lawyer. And if not a lawyer, you can also call someone who's called a public adjuster to help.
A public adjuster. Yeah, you were mentioning you really don't, it is a cryptic document. You almost need to be a lawyer to understand the policy and all the pitfalls that are probably kind of baked into it. And, I think we have this false sense of security with insurance policies that we've got the safety net. And if anything happens, we've been paying these premiums. But what we're discovering now, and what you have discovered in the last 9 years with your firm, is that insurance companies aren't exactly on your side. They're not so willing to want to pay out. So it's good to know that they can either call you or call that public adjuster to try to start to get the process moving in the right direction. You've obviously been doing this for quite a few years, and you've helped a lot of companies. I follow you religiously on LinkedIn, and it's why I thought you would be the best guest for today, because I said I want one of the good guys to come on and share with us how they're basically you're David fighting Goliath in a lot of these cases. Can you share with me maybe a story or two of you don't have to give any names, obviously, of some people that you've really kind of saved them by helping them get the money that they needed and they deserved?
I can. There have been numerous people that I have been fortunate enough to help over 9 years. And I can just go on and on and on about the different stories of me and my team helping them. One story in particular was someone in Tarrant County who the insurance company denied. They denied several times. Their house was wet, was leaking. We were able to come on board, hire experts to analyze the cause, what was going on, what was happening. We were able to analyze the insurance policy. We were able to determine that there was coverage, and we were able to resolve their case in a fairly short period of time to help and assist not only our clients, an elderly couple, but also the insurance company see and understand where they went wrong.
And you mentioned the time, and I know every case is going to be different. I just wrote down time period. Depending, is there a amount of time that usually it takes from the time that you start working on a claim to, and I know you can't guarantee a time, but I'm just wondering, is there a ballpark of what realistically you tell clients that it could take?
And that is, the time is really what's on the insurance company's side. They can deny, delay, underpay, because it takes a long time to get these types of cases to a jury trial. And if you have some person, a client, who has sustained damage where they have to get out of their home, and the insurance company isn't paying them enough, they're forced to either move out, stay somewhere else, and wait potentially 2 years. With the pandemic, even longer now, the courts delayed further before you can get to a jury trial. So oftentimes they're put in a compromising position where they have to compromise, where they don't always get full value for their claim, but they will be able to secure enough to offset the amount that it would cost. And that can range from 2 weeks. I have had and helped clients with their insurance company resolved the case literally within 2 weeks of the time they've hired me. And there has been other times where it's been 3 years where I have to go try the case to a jury. The jury will return a verdict. Thank God that most of them are successful, and then go through maybe a little bit of the appellate process before a settlement is reached.
So
Time is really on the insurance company's side.
So, and thank you for sharing that, because that's one of the things I wrote down for my final thoughts. You were talking about that time. Is it a tactic of the insurance company to run the clock out, to just get you so frustrated that you just throw your hands up and say, okay, I'll just take whatever you're going to give me? Not that you do that, I'm saying, but that's something that they do to customers. Would that be a true statement?
It absolutely is a true statement. They do that. And thank God there are laws still on the books, even though they get chipped away about every legislative session, that allows a policy holder, a consumer, who pursues their insurance company legally. There are laws out there that allow for what's called statutory penalty interest for delay. It's generally 10% on the amount of the claim added to it per annum. Attorney's fees, you're able to recover attorney's fees in these types of claims. And treble damages, meaning triple the economic damages if the insurance company employs different tactics that violate the insurance code, and they do so knowingly. So there's incentives there that the law has put into place to try to keep the insurance industry in check, such that they don't delay payment of claims. Now, whether it's enough there to make them pay promptly, I will tell you, the cases that come across my desk and the people that I help, no.
That triggered another question. The legislative session, you mentioned, they kind of chip away at some of these laws. Anything right now that you're hearing that's on the docket to be voted on that is in jeopardy to hurt these local customers here with their insurance claims?
It's a very good question. For different area of laws, yes. An injury type law, there was in 2017, pretty sweeping change to this area of law that frankly delays resolution even further by 60 days. There's now law. I say it's new, it's not so new. It was September 1st of 2017 that it was enacted, or really that it took effect, where we have to prepare a very detailed letter, issue that to the insurance company, and before a lawsuit can be filed, 60 days are supposed to elapse. And it was sold in the legislature that this is going to help resolve claims, and it's going to give the insurance companies an opportunity to settle. And it, depending on the insurance company, not so much so. It just gives them an extra 60 days to not have to pay, and suit has to be filed anyway. Not for all insurance companies. There are some who will negotiate during that time, but a lot of them won't. And that was the biggest sweeping change that we experienced. And just I'll add one more thing to that. And then if we're not very accurate in our demand letter, we almost have to have a crystal ball to know what a jury would return, what kind of verdict a jury would return. We have to project that from the first time we send this notice letter. If we're not accurate, then we're penalized, which means that the consumer, our client, is penalized and can't recover all of the damages that they should, mostly by way of attorney's fees. It really affects the attorney's fees we're able to recover.
So that is incredible. So there is so much onus that's put on you as the firm to know what you've claims that you've done in the past, what you've gotten approved from a trial jury, from a trial jury, all of that. And if you don't accurately depict that in that demand letter, they can go, oh, well, now you're only going to get this because you didn't do this right. You didn't fill out the form correctly. That's what it sounds. Is that, I know it's very layman's terms, but is that pretty much what you're saying?
It is. Yes, it is. We have to have a crystal ball to project, think about what a jury would return. What is the amount that a jury would return in their verdict form that they fill out by way of economic damages? What are they going to award in economic damages? And if we don't have that accurately, then we're affected, yes.
So I guess this bids the question from the very outset. Insurance companies are not created equal. We always get, and trust me, Adam does all the negotiating when it comes to our insurance and this and that. Well, he's the one, he goes, finds the new insurance and tells me to call the old insurance company. So I have to be the bad guy when we change insurance. But what would you tell consumers as they are looking to change an insurance provider or buying a new house and all of that? Are there some, and you don't have to say any names of insurance companies, are there some that are better than others that have been better to work with?
Yes. I tell my clients that there is a lesser of many evils. And I won't mention names, but I do tell my clients, since it's attorney-client privilege, who I think are the lesser of those evils. And generally, the ones that you see advertising that give people a lot of false sense of security, those are usually the ones that don't follow through with their promises. And they're the ones who underpay. They're the ones who deny and delay.
And because this is public information, after Katrina, I know there was one major insurance company that was kicked out of the state. They said you can no longer do business in the state of Louisiana as a result of the lack of urgency that they had to pay out insurance. So I'm glad that there are legislators that are fighting for consumers to help them. And I think you are a lawyer. You have answered that question perfectly. I mean, I would want you to be my lawyer if I had to go to court. Well, I appreciate you taking some time today. If someone does have some questions, some of our viewers want to know how to reach you. Will, how do they reach you?
So you can email my firm. It's info at willallanlaw.com. We have an office in San Antonio. We have an office in Del Rio, Texas. We have cases all over the state. When somebody has an insurance issue, they can call us. One of two numbers. One number is 210-742-9455. Another number is 830-290-9455.
All right.
You can also find us on Facebook, and we have a nice presence on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, you do. And like I said, if you are in the need for a lawyer for your insurance needs, please go check out his LinkedIn page. He is really good about posting stories and sharing some great information about the industry that will help arm you. This isn't the sexiest topic that we've covered on the Marketing Detective, but we did feel, and we did get a lot of feedback of people saying, we really want you to talk about this. We kind of diverted a little bit from the typical Marketing Detective to talk about these claims. And as we wrap up, as always, please, if you'd like us to solve the mystery here at the Marketing Detective, email me at mwest@nextstar.tv and put Marketing Detective in the subject line, and we will try to solve a mystery for you. I feel like we answered some questions and at least got some insight today. So I want to thank my guest, Will, for joining us. Just a couple of my final thoughts, if you will. One of the things that he had said is that these insurance policies are very difficult to read. They're very, very cryptic. So unless you want to get a law degree of your own to become an insurance lawyer, maybe have a lawyer take a look at the policy. that could be a good takeaway. One thing that I know that you do well is you hire those experts to help build your case. And what I love about that is that while you have a lot of the answers, you don't have all the answers. And so you team up with people that can really come to the defense of these customers. Time is not on your side. Time is on the side of the insurance companies, and they will try to run out the clock and really just and then the other thing that they do is they give you a false sense of security, these insurance companies. So you really need to read the fine print. As they say, the devil is in the details, and we often overlook those. You know, I tell there's only one document I think I've ever signed where I didn't read every page, and that was my mortgage because it was like 4,700 pages, which I think is the reason I have arthritis, was signing that paperwork. Anyway, Will, thank you so much for joining us today. You were very insightful and gave us some great information, and I hope that our viewers will check you out and reach out to you.
Glad to help any way I can, Mitch. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, that's all the time we have today on The Marketing Detective. We want to thank you for tuning in. We'll have a new episode again in 2 weeks. We look forward to seeing you then. Take care of yourself and each other. Until next time, America, I'm Mitch West.